Okay, beginner sim racers, this could be the most important video you ever watch. We are going to bust 8 beginner myths that we see everyone making, and you're just going to become so much faster if you implement these techniques. I'm here with Sam, who's a professional karter, does a lot of this in karting, where people are spending a lot of money karting, and therefore, they're happy to pay for the advice and the coaching and whatnot. That's not so common in sim racing, and we're going to give this to you for completely free, so I hope you enjoy it. The first one is field of view. Yes. And this is such a pitfall, and people don't even realize kind of how much it can affect you. I think a lot of people try and have much more field of view,
as wide as they can get it.
Yeah. Or in fact, that's the wrong way to put it. They try and see as much of the road, and you end up messing with your perception of speed.
You end up near enough in the back seat.
Yeah.
In a lot of the times when you see people.
So what you want to do is there are things online called field of view calculators, and you can work out on your screen and where you're seeing have the correct field of view. And it probably won't seem natural at first, but the idea is you will be able to drive more with your subconscious that is naturally faster. So field of view is a massive one.
Definitely a big key, very overlooked thing.
So the second one is big. This is trail braking. I think so the myth is beginners often aren't trail braking. So what is trail braking? Trail braking is when you go into a corner, you brake, and then you gradually bleed off the brake and you start to turn. And as you're turning, you're bleeding off the brake. I think what we see a lot of people do is obsess about got to brake in a straight line.
Yes.
And they think, okay, I'm braking as late as possible and I'm done.
Brake, turn, go in 3 different things, whereas you kind of want to move the brake and turn into the same sort of movement.
Yeah, I would say maybe an easy way to think about it is you're actually in a corner like that, you're using the brake for 2 different things. You're using it first to slow down, but then you're using it to corner.
For rotation.
Yeah.
Yes. Like Kireth was just saying, in karting, it's a big thing as well. We use the brakes for rotation, and it works in sim racing as well.
Yeah. Kind of leaning on from that, we've got stop overdriving. So people going too slow in. Well, you need to be going.
People going too fast into corners, which means they're getting a really bad exit, which is slow out.
And I think sometimes people don't realise that because like, oh, I made the corner, and they're putting all this lock on the car, and they're not looking at their exit speed. One interesting way to do that is set a marker on the next straight, see what your speed is at that marker.
So one of the things I say to a lot of my drivers I give tuition to is think of the corner head. Like you can go in steaming hot, overshoot the corner, and if you've got another tight corner directly after it, it doesn't really matter too much. But if you go in steaming hot, overshoot it, get on the throttle there, and then you've got a really long straight after, not only do you lose time in that corner, you then lose time the whole way up that straight.
Yeah, so stop overdriving and instead be slower and fast out of these corners. The next one is using your eyes correctly. This is something, again, you'll see a lot in karting, where people are really looking too close in front of them. So you look at the apex and you kind of past it, you're still looking at it. Whereas actually, if you look at eye trackers on Formula 1 drivers,
yes, they're always looking a long way ahead.
Yeah.
A long way ahead.
So if we visualize that, as you're coming, let's say we're coming into a right-hander and then a left-hander. As you're coming in a long way away, you want to actually see your braking point. But then as soon as before actually you're from braking, and now as your subconscious, you're looking to your apex, you can position it. And as you're turning in, you're actually looking to your exit, and your subconscious taking you to the apex. And then when you approaching the exit, you're already looking at the next thing. So you always want to be one step ahead.
You do, and I mean you see it especially in single seaters and karting from still photos. You'll see a lot of drivers, they're going in a straight line, but their head's turning like this because they're already looking at where they're going. I've got a great photo. I'll try and find it so Kireth can include it in the video of me literally like this in a straight line, looking at where I'm going.
Yeah. And
I'll try and get Kireth.
So the next one is setting up force feedback properly. Again, so many parallels here with karting. So if you don't set your force feedback properly, so you have it too intense, I think a lot of people do, you are just harming your driving. And I can say that from experience, having driven power steering race cars, also driven a Ginetta race car as well. And it's not always as tense on the muscles. Now, if you get an 18 Newton meter wheelbase, I really don't think you should be running that 18
No, I mean, people are like, got 18 Newton meters, I've got to use all 18 Newton meters. I mean, I've got a 9 Newton meters. I run at 7, 8, whatever it is. I know it's quite near peaking it, but even if I had a higher one, I wouldn't go that high. There's no need to be. And all you're doing is tiring yourself out as well.
Yeah, especially if you're driving power steering cars in the sim, they have a very distinct style. If you're driving like an old school Formula car, that's a bit different.
Yes.
But a lot of people are not setting up the force feedback correctly. The next one we've got is throttle control. I would say the most place we see people beginner spinning is on the throttle at slow speed corners probably. I'm like, oh, why have I spun? It's just not delicate enough throttle control. And that's a real skill. Like it's easy to say be more delicate, but it requires requires practice. Again, in karting in the wet,
Yeah.
if you do that on slick tyres.
One of the things in karting in the wet is to always, and it relates to this again, is always, while you're learning something, accelerate with the front wheel straight, and then you won't spin. A lot of people who spin will be accelerating, where they're too new, will be accelerating while their wheel's still turned, and that will spin them. So you've actually got the ability to be able to do that, try and just keep accelerating in a straight line.
So the next one we've got is using a consistent driving line. Now by that, I don't mean using the driving line actually in the sim. I don't have anything against using the driving line to start learning a track, but it goes to this point, which is if you want to become better at track, you need to be using a consistent driving line. You can start to understand in which corners and which part of the racetrack you're losing time, which to improve. If you're using a different racing line every time, it's going to be impossible to actually build that lap time. And you can see it in the wet in real life when you see the dry line appearing with good drivers, how everyone's driving in a similar
and literally, as Kireth was just saying, be consistent on it. Wide entry, hit the apex, wide exit. That's consistent. You can do it, you can repeat that consistently over it, and that is also the fastest way. You minimise the amount of steering.
Yeah, I think it's the same in many sports, like in tennis. You know, if you hit a shot on the right side of the court, you go back to the middle of the court, or games like football where you go back to your position, or these kind of discipline things so you can be in the right place to then maximise your game. It's the same thing in sim racing.
Yes.
So as Sam said, like wide entry, braking near that white line, and then you're in the best place to maximise how you exit in the corner. The next one is, again, something that people aren't, I think, concentrating on enough, which is getting a comfortable wheel and pedal setup. The obvious one is people driving like that.
Straight arms, straight
Should
legs.
not be straight armed. We get criticised a lot actually on our channel because of the way the camera looks. Like this camera is a long way away, so it can look like it. Really, you want to, and if you look at GT drivers, you want to.
They're almost, if I turn so, they're almost like this. Like they're trying to show off the guns.
Yeah.
Basically what you want
But
to
when
be.
you do, and it does feel uncomfortable or unusual at the beginning, because sometimes in a road car you're a bit straighter, but actually you realise, okay, I have really good control here, really good longevity as well.
And the general rule of thumb as well, you want your forearms parallel with your thighs.
And the other thing is, this is especially going to apply if you're using a play seat challenge, for example, that we've both used. Pedals, you want to have them as firm as you can have them. If you've got pedals like this or Logitech Genome 23, use the carpet grippers so they're not going to move around. That's going to enable you to brake really firmly. Pedals are really important. I would say it's more important having your pedals firm than your wheel actually firm, because you want to be braking and hitting that threshold and feeling it. So, and that's something you don't really get in a car. The pedals don't move in a car, and the way hydraulic pedals work, and we're seeing hydraulic pedals come into sim racing now. I think we've got a few behind us here. So having those pedals set is going to be great. And then you're going to know when it's time to upgrade your pedals. You just won't know if you're using good pedals but they're not mounted correctly. You won't know where the kind of slop is. So we don't see a lot of videos like this, but we wanted to do like a full beginner's guide. And you know, all of those tips are super helpful tips. So if you implement them, you're going to gain a lot of time. I've got a masterclass, www.getfasteronline.com if you want to do it in GT7. Sam's got amazing karting coaching and whatnot. So go check out the link in the description, and we'll see you next time.